Oh my God, do. Somebody please say it ain't so. Lil C's been acting very strange over the years when it comes to Lil' Kim. He snitched on her in court, then he turned around and apologized, then he make it seem like he ate her guts, then he turned around and say that's his big sister. He knew her before Big. A lot of people are connecting the dots and it's looking like Lil C's believe that Lil' Kim had something to do with Biggie's murder. She had everything to gain. When Biggie was out the way, the show was all hers. Y'all need to take a look at this.
I knew Kim before I knew Big. That's why the situation was that's why it lasted so long, because it was so personal. Mm-hmm. It's not about nothing with court shit, with none of that shit. We're not going to even address that, but it's nothing to do with that. My apology was I wasn't a good brother to her. When Big died, she held me down. And I wasn't acknowledging that the way I was supposed to.
Biggie was the type of person to motivate you. He always wanted anyone to succeed. He always wanted everybody to have a better life for themselves. He was just hungry. He just wanted to make the album. If he could get 500,000 fans, he used to say, he happy.
Check me out right here, yo.
We was like on our way to the parking lot, like waiting for the cars to come out. Our car came first, and we was waiting for Puffy's car to come. So when this car came, we all pulled out.
Big was in the front, C's was sitting behind Big, and I was like sitting behind the driver.
Car just rolled up on the right-hand side and just started shooting holes in the door.
Lil C's has finally come out and admitted that he was wrong about Lil' Kim. If you've been following their history, you know that's a big deal. For years, Kim was made out to be the bad guy after Biggie died. People acted like she was disloyal, like she switched up, or like she wasn't really there for him. But the truth is, she was probably one of the only ones who really held him down, even after he was gone. Meanwhile, C's and the rest of Junior Mafia were out here feeding into this narrative that made her look bitter and fake. And this narrative stuck. The media ran with it, fans believed it, and Kim got pushed out of the story in a lot of ways. But now C's is finally clearing that up. He admitted he played a role in how Kim was portrayed and said she deserves more credit for what she did for Biggie, both when he was alive and after he passed. So let's break down what Lil C said, why it matters, and how Kim actually helped keep Biggie's legacy alive even when everybody else turned their back on her.
Great time, and that's my sis for life. Just because we had a little falling out, the love was still there on both sides.
So to understand why Lil C's apology to Kim matters, you've got to know how deep the fallout between them really was. After Biggie died in 1997, things got messy fast. And Junior Mafia, the group Biggie put together, which included both Kim and C's, basically fell apart. People started picking sides, money dried up, and egos kicked in. But the real split happened years later, around 2005, when Lil' Kim got caught up in a federal case. She ended up going to prison for perjury for lying to a grand jury about a 2001 shootout outside the Hot 97 studios in Manhattan that involved people from her crew.
Kim was found guilty of lying to a federal grand jury during the investigation of a shooting outside a New York radio station. Prosecutors say she made up most of her eyewitness testimony about a 2001 fight outside Hot 97. The shooting broke when Lil' Kim's entourage crossed paths with a rival rap group, injuring one man. Lil' Kim now faces up to 20 years.
Kim was eventually sentenced to 1 year in prison, 30 days home detention after release from custody, and 3 years of probation. She served her sentence at the Federal Detention Center in Center City, Philadelphia, and was released on July 3rd, 2006. Now here's where Lil C's comes in. So he actually testified against Lil' Kim during her trial, although he later insisted he didn't technically snitch. The way the media made it, they made it seem like it was something more than it was. C's said, it wasn't that much of a thing. Just the fact that I was on the stand made it look funny. Lil C's also said that he wasn't responsible for Kim getting sentenced, and he claimed there was nothing he could have said to keep her out of prison. She wasn't in a situation for me to say something that would send her away, C's said. Maybe the people around her made it look that way, or she felt that way because of the situation she was in, but I just felt like it was a situation where she could have done things to change things, and she didn't. But it wasn't nothing that anybody said on my end as far as anybody. Not just me, but anybody from Mafia. Nobody said nothing that sent her away. I think no matter how her situation would have went down, she would have still went away for the things she lied about. But from Kim's side, C's testifying against her wasn't just disloyal, it was a betrayal of Biggie's legacy, especially after everything they'd been through together. C's claimed he was just telling the truth. But let's be real. In hip-hop, especially back then, testifying was seen as crossing a line you don't come back back from. So after Kim completely distanced herself, she cut ties with Junior Mafia and publicly said she didn't rock with C's at all. For years, there was nothing but silence between them. C's would try to explain himself in interviews, but Kim wasn't having it. As far as she was concerned, he sold her out, plain and simple. But the media mostly took C's side, and Kim was painted as angry, unforgiving, difficult, even though she was the one who did time. Meanwhile, C's got to move around like he was just telling his truth, even though it directly helped send Kim to prison. So yeah, the beef wasn't just personal. It was about loyalty, legacy, and the way women, especially black women, get thrown under the bus to protect everybody else's reputation. But fast forward to 2019, and this is where things really started to shift. Kim hosted an annual tribute dinner for Biggie's birthday, and a lot of people who were close to Big were in the building, including all former members of Junior Mafia. And that's when Lil C's got up and publicly apologized to Lil Kim, letting her know she was like a real sister to him.
What made you feel bad? I genuinely apologize. I love you from the bottom of my heart. You like one of my, you are my sister. You're not a real sister, but you my sister.
God is good.
For life. And I love you and I thank you for bringing this energy here.
God is good.
And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. For real.
Yeah, Steve, God is good. He's real. Look at that. God is good. God is good.
I owe you that, man. I didn't want to say that to you for years. It took experience.
He's your height too, so y'all.
You know, and it took
Kim later talked to Vibe magazine about this special moment and said it couldn't have happened on a more meaningful night. Kim said, "It's been a long time since we've been together on his birthday or doing any event together at all. For me, it was a spiritual awakening. This was his heart. So it's sort of, for me, mending Big's broken heart. All of us were Big head to toe. Putting him back together is putting all of us back together." Now jump ahead to Lil C's recent interview on Vlad TV, and he got emotional while talking about how he wasn't a good brother to Kim. C's also brought up how after Biggie passed, Kim let him stay at her place when he was struggling. And that part hit hard because it reminded folks that despite all the drama, Kim always looked out for her family.
Oh my God, do. It seems to me that when Biggie died, Lil Kim took over and people had to bow down and kiss her ring. She made an album talking about she the notorious K.I.M. So Lil C's had to follow her lead because she was leading their whole thing because Biggie was no longer there. She was the hottest one out of their entourage. And basically, she was running the show. And seeing how Lil C's is so apologetic and he just got to get on the good foot and do right by Lil Kim, just let you know how much control she had and how much money and how much influence. Biggie wasn't there to take care of Lil C's no more. So Lil Kim was the next best thing.
You know, just how did it feel to finally put that behind you? Because y'all is, like you said, it might not be your blood sister, but that's your sister.
I knew her before I knew Big. You know what I'm saying? I knew Kim before I knew Big. That's why the situation was so, that's why it lasted so long, because it was so personal. Mm-hmm. It's not about nothing with court shit, none of that shit. We're not going to even address that, but it's nothing to do with that. My apology was I wasn't a good brother to her. I made some wrong moves, some bad mistakes, and that was just the perfect time to do that. You know, I didn't plan that. We was all having a great time, and and I just know the comfort she needed because I know her. And I wanted to do that. I wanted to let her know that. I wanted to let all the people around know that. You know what I'm saying? And I just felt like that's what I wanted to do, and she deserved that. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times, when Big died, she held me down. And I wasn't acknowledging that the way I was supposed to. And then we had other little situations that kind of separated us and other people that separated us. And we was too stubborn. People just like us on. And, and we just let God work. And God worked. And one day she hit me and we talked like nothing ever happened. And she had a plan that she wanted to do this dinner. She said she wanted to put Big Heart back together. And putting his heart back together was getting all his peoples together. And we all got together, me, her, the whole Junior Mafia, D-Rock, and C Gutter. He was locked up for 16 years, so he was home to be there for that. Rube, just our whole team, like everybody that we started with was at that dinner. So I felt like that was the appropriate time to do it. And I needed to do that for her. And I wanted to do it for her. You know what I'm saying? I just felt like that was a great time. And, you know, that's my sis for life. You know, just because we had a little falling out, the love was still there on both sides.
And Lil Caesar's apology flipped the narrative for a lot of fans. People started realizing that maybe they'd been too quick to judge Lil Kim, and that maybe Kim's side of the story hadn't been told loud enough. All right, now let's talk about Lil Kim and how she really kept Biggie's name alive, even when it felt like the world was trying to erase her. First of all, Kim never stopped honoring Big. Go back and listen to her albums. She's always mentioning him, shouting him out, dedicating songs to him. On her second album, The Notorious K.I.M., Kim raps about losing Biggie on an emotional tribute track with Mary J. Blige called Hold On. On this track, Kim describes her grief for Biggie as being as painful as childbirth. And if you saw that video of Kim at Biggie's funeral, you know she was speaking from the heart. By the way, on Hold On with Mary J. Blige, Kim also calls out Biggie's industry friends for eating off of his death. And you can probably guess who she was talking about. And over the years, Kim's done countless tribute performances for Biggie, headlining events on the anniversary of his death and honoring his legacy in any way she could.
Well, happy 50th. Happy Biggie 50th. One thing about Little Kim, she gonna ride for some B.I.G.
That's right.
And I'm so happy to see everybody here. I mean, the whole family. Tiana, CJ, you know, you guys are my heart.
In 2016, Kim dropped a track called I Did It for Brooklyn with Mano, a whole tribute to Big and the borough that made him. She's also been the one putting together these B.I.G. family dinners, bringing people together to honor Biggie, even inviting the same people she had beef with. And you don't see many male rappers putting their ego aside like that. And here's the thing, even with all that, Kim's been misjudged for years. After Biggie died, a lot of people either erased her from the story or tried to downplay her role. And don't forget that Lil Kim knew Biggie before the fame when he was himself Christopher. He brought Lil Kim with him from Brooklyn, which says a lot about how he felt about her too. Now, people used to say that Big wrote all of Kim's stuff, like she couldn't hold her own. And yes, he helped her early on, sure. But we all know Kim's pen is solid. Ask anyone who's actually listened to her verses. She helped shape the entire female rap lane. No Kim, no Nicki, no Cardi, no Megan, period. But for some reason, Kim just kept getting disrespected by the media. When the Notorious movie came out in 2009, Kim was furious because they got her character all wrong. They turned her into some side chick drama when in reality, she was one of the closest people to Biggie creatively and personally.
Never involved with the movie. I was never, but the movie went into green light and I didn't even know about it. You know, how can you write, this is my dispute with this. Like, how can you write a movie about somebody's life and you don't even talk to them? Like, that's just
how can they get your dialogue too? Like, if there was situations, okay, well, this is what happened. Like,
or the
if it was a big event,
right?
Then they say, okay, well, but how could they get just every word?
Yeah, like how,
this is what
how
she
do you
said.
know how I touched Biggie? How do you know how we kissed? How do you know how we talked? How do you know what, like, there were certain things that we did intimately that no one would ever know except for me and him.
Right.
You know? And so after the movie went down and, you know, they already picked who they wanted to pick and, you know, they already greenlit the movie and they were already shooting in Brooklyn, I went down there with my lawyers flipping. Like, you know, what the heck is going on?
Have you seen the movie yet?
I've seen a little bit of it.
Is it hard for you to even watch it?
It's hard for me to even watch it because it's so far-fetched from the truth. I mean, the stories of even him and Faith, and it's so far-fetched from the truth. This story is ridiculously funny. It's like a spoof to me.
And then Kim also got caught up in label politics. Remember that Monica track, Anything to Find You? Kim recorded a verse for it, but they pulled it last minute because of clearance issues with Biggie's estate, which was headed at the time by Biggie's mother, Valletta Wallace. Monica later addressed the situation on social media and revealed it was really Biggie's mom who blocked Kim from appearing on the track. Monica wrote, I am just finding out what has happened to my single, and myself and Missy are beyond hurt that Lil Kim was removed. She's our friend, a legend, and Lil Kim will get the respect she deserves at all costs. The clearance was revoked, and I'm fighting to get it reinstated by the Biggie estate. But Monica later came back with another post saying, I am as thorough as they come, and I love Lil Kim. Bottom line is Miss Wallace has the final say, and she said no. If we put it out, we get sued. But even after all that, when Biggie's mom Valletta passed last February, Kim was right there at the funeral. And once again, she showed that she can take the the high road and put all the petty drama aside. And let's be real, a lot of the hate Kim got was straight up misogyny. They painted her as disloyal, crazy, fake, but the truth is, she was one of the few who really rode for Big through it all. People tried to erase her, but Kim kept showing up in her music, in her actions, in her loyalty. She didn't just keep Biggie's name alive, she protected it. And now, finally, people are starting to see that. At the end of the day, that apology from Lil C's wasn't just about squashing old beef. It was about finally giving Lil Kim the credit she's deserved all along. But
oh my God, do y'all gotta let me know how y'all feel about this in the comment section below. It sounds to me that the narrator was even kissing Lil Kim's behind. She a female, don't nobody want to call her out or hold her accountable, but people believe she had something to do with Biggie's passing, along with Diddy, D-Rock, and a bunch of other people that had their eyes on Biggie's money, his position, and for somebody like Lil C's, who was Biggie's little mans, he gotta fall in line. He gotta get in where he fit in. So if that mean he gotta swallow his pride and kiss Kim's ass, that's like in any criminal organization. When somebody take out the boss's henchmen gonna roll with the new dude. Remember in the movie Scarface, when Scarface killed the dude and he looked over at his bodyguard and was like, "Hey man, want a job?" And old boy took that drink of that hard liquor. It was like, "Thank you, Tony." You gotta roll with a winning team. Whoever the boss is, when the plug get knocked off, that's who people gonna get their work from. It's a prime example with the Lil Kim and Lil C situation. So even though he running his mouth praising Lil Kim, it's letting me know that allegedly she could have had something to do with this man's passing. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about it in the comment section. Got so much love for y'all. And for you beautiful ladies out there, y'all already know I risk my motherfucking life.
Risk my life to give you documentations, girl. I risk my life to give you documentations, girl. I risk my life to give you documentations, girl. I risk my life to give you documentations, girl.